What's up guys, I'm going to do another Call of Duty video. This time I'm going to be doing a video about my top 5 worst Call of Duty games. So these are my least favorite ones. I'm going to be doing a separate video of my top 5 favorite Call of Duty games. So this one is the ones that I don't really hate any particular game, but the ones that I just dislike the most. So starting off at number 5 is World at War. And so some of you are probably like, what? How was World at War on your top 5 worst Call of Duty games list? Like, World at War was huge. It gave us Nazi zombies, and the campaign was pretty good. The thing you have to remember about this game is that this game came just a little too late. World at War came right after Modern Warfare, and it came at a time where everybody was so sick and tired of World War II games, and they wanted something new, and Modern Warfare came along, and everybody loved that. They're like, oh, I love this new modern game, and then the year after that came out, it's World at War, and it's back to World War II again. So people are just like, okay, why are we back to World War II? I thought we were over this, like last year you released a modern Call of Duty game, and now you're releasing back to a World War II one. So that discouraged a whole lot of people from buying it and just from playing it, because they're like, it's not modern. Like, why did they go back to World War II? Like, people are super sick of World War II games at the time. Just so many Medal of Honor games, Call of Duty games, everything was World War II back then. The campaign was ridiculously hard on veteran. It was like near impossible, and even on regular, I still could not get past one of the tank level. I don't know if you guys have ever played World at War, but even playing that on like normal or hardened, it was just so hard to get past for me. It was just a miracle that I made it through that on veteran. Wanted to pull all my hair out, but I eventually did it, and I got all the achievements in that game. World at War is number 5 just because it's not a terrible game, but it's also probably not in my top 5 favorite Call of Duty games. So going down the list, at number 4 of my least favorite or the worst Call of Duty games, at number 4 is Modern Warfare 3. And don't get me wrong, Modern Warfare 3 is a really good game. I love it. I play it all the time. Just because it gave us Infected, that was a really fun game mode to play. The reason it's on my worst Call of Duty games list is because it seemed kind of rushed, and the story was kind of so-so. The Modern Warfare story was really awesome and was just amazing. Modern Warfare 2 was even better and just like took everything from Call of Duty 4 and made it even better. But the campaign of Modern Warfare 3 just kind of seemed like it was kind of an afterthought, that they were just like, oh shoot, we kind of got to finish up this franchise. And Spec Ops was really awesome in Modern Warfare 2. I don't think it was anywhere near as good as Zombies. So Black Ops 1 gave us Zombies, and it just expounded on everything that World at War gave to us, and just took Zombies to a whole new level and gave a huge storyline, so many new guns and perks and stuff, and just took Zombies in a whole different direction and just made it so much better. And so after Black Ops 1 came out, we had Modern Warfare 3, and the third game mode for that was Survival and Spec Ops. So the Spec Ops missions were pretty good. I don't think any of them were nearly as good as the ones in Modern Warfare 2. And then we also had Survival, which kind of seemed like a tacked on thing that they were just like, oh hey, let's just take all the multiplayer maps and throw some bots on there and see how long people can survive. So it was kind of like, it's whatever. But the real problem I have with Modern Warfare 3 is just kind of like the netcode and the hit detection. The connections overall were really screwy, and I'm going to admit I didn't have the best connection when I was playing Modern Warfare 3, so I didn't have tremendous problems playing it. But this was a huge problem for a lot of people, where a lot of people who actually had good internet were getting killed around corners and would just light people up, and then they would get like two-shotted or something like that. And they were just having like a really awful time because the game would favor a lot of people if they had a high ping. And so that made a lot of people mad. They're like, oh, I paid good money for good internet, but they don't get like any benefit for it. And even in some cases, they get a worse experience playing the game because they have a better connection. But I still love Modern Warfare 3. Just because all these games are on my top 5 worst Call of Duty games list does not mean that I don't like them, or that they're awful, or that they're bad games, or I hate them, or anything like that. I still like every single game on this list. So going up at the number 3 spot is Call of Duty Ghosts. So most of you are probably thinking like, what? What can be above Ghosts? What can be at the 1 and 2 spot? And I can almost guarantee you guys know what at least one of those spots is. But for Ghosts, I don't think it was the worst Call of Duty game. It was the last game where we had a proper boots on the ground. But at the time, nobody really thought of that. Nobody was saying, oh man, I think I'll really love this game because it's going to be the very last boots on the ground game that we'll ever have for Call of Duty. You know, nobody was thinking that at the time. People only started thinking that during Black Ops 3's life cycle. And even in Advanced Warfare, people were like, oh, I don't like these jetpacks. I'd rather just be walking around on the ground. And that's when Ghost was portrayed in a better light, is when people were like, oh, I don't like these jetpack things. But for me, Ghost was not that bad of a game. I didn't have really awful times playing it. Like, pretty much every single person I've talked to about that game, or anybody I know, has just said that that's like one of their worst purchases they've ever made, was buying Call of Duty Ghosts, or they just hated playing it. Like, I made my friend Harry buy the game. Before the game came out, I was like, man, you should totally get Ghosts, and then we can play it all the time, and, you know, we'll just have a great time playing it. And so he was like, okay. So at the midnight release, we both got a copy of Ghosts, and I played it a ton that first day, and he played it a little bit, but he was just not having a good time with it. He ended up playing the campaign more, and he just went through the whole entire campaign, and pretty much anytime he'd play multiplayer, he was just getting absolutely wrecked, which was odd to me, because he's not that bad, and he was doing really good towards the end of Black Ops 2's life cycle, but he could just like never do good in Call of Duty Ghosts. But I generally had a pretty good time playing it. So like for that first like 2 weeks or so, I played the game a ton, and I was just having a really good time playing it. You know, I didn't have as much fun as I did playing Black Ops 2, playing Call of Duty Ghosts. Like it was kind of stale, and the maps were kind of boring, and the colors were super dull. But I think it was still a pretty solid game. I thought Extinction was a really great game mode, but I think what really made Ghosts bad was the bad time to kill, and something that seems like it'd be a really good thing is the amazing hit detection. Ghosts had such a good hit detection, like especially coming off of Black Ops 2, where you could just spray like half a clip into somebody and you get like a couple hit markers, and that was it. Like in Ghosts, if you emptied a magazine at somebody, you were going to hit every single shot and you were going to kill them. And that made the game feel super melty, and people just felt like they would run around corners and then just get destroyed because people would actually be able to kill you if they landed 3 bullets in you, you know. And like in Black Ops 2, where if you just light somebody up, you know, they can still get around the corner and then they can turn around and light you up and stuff like that. Like, it was a huge change from Black Ops 2, just with the way the hit detection was. And the hit detection was just so fantastic. It's just that because of the fantastic hit detection, it made the guns feel super melty and made you get like absolutely shreked in just fractions of a second. So in those like first couple months that Ghosts came out, I was kind of bored of the game. After a little while, I was like, oh, this isn't as great as Black Ops 2 was. And so I took a break a couple times, and I went back and played Black Ops 2. And there's just a bunch of times in there where I was just like, oh, I'm not really loving this game. And so that's kind of how it progressed pretty much through November, December, and all the way till about March or so. And in March, I met a group of other guys playing Call of Duty Ghosts online in a clan, and I was just playing Cranked. That was another thing I loved about Call of Duty Ghosts, was Cranked. That was seriously one of my favorite game modes of all time, and I hope they bring it back in like Advanced Warfare or something, because it was seriously awesome. Like, I always went super hard on Cranked. Like, I would always go like full try hard mode when I'm playing Cranked, and I came up against a clan, and I was just, you know, like one guy trying to carry my team against the whole clan, and I actually did pretty good. You know, I still went positive, and I gave them a run for their money. So at the very end, they're like, hey man, you're pretty good, you want to join? And, you know, I was just like, oh, you know, sure, these guys are pretty good too. So I was like, sure. And so we started playing together, and that's probably one of the reasons why I don't have Ghost at the number 1 spot on this list, is because I had a really fun time playing with those guys. Like, we would roll through lobbies as a 6-man party and just destroy everybody, and it was just so much fun because I would be getting like a 2 KD every game. People would be dropping chems left and right, and it was just such a fun time that we were all just like trying to do really well in this game, and just all trying to rank up, get gold guns and stuff like that, and it was just a fun time playing with them. And I really liked Extinction in that game. I thought it was a really great change from Zombies. Like, Zombies is fun and all, but by then, that was our 3rd game of having Zombies, and Infinity Ward really hadn't brought anything new to the table from Modern Warfare 3, and so when they finally introduced Extinction mode, I was like, yes, finally, this isn't as good as Zombies, but it's a really good game mode. Like, it's really solid for a third game mode, and that's why I'm disappointed that this year we're getting zombies in Infinite Warfare instead of Extinction, because I thought Extinction was really good, and I don't see the need to have all three studios be doing zombies. I was like, let Treyarch do zombies, let them do their own thing, and then Infinity Ward, you just keep trying to do your own thing, keep trying something new, and maybe eventually something will stick. And I think Extinction did. Like, I didn't think it was that bad of a game mode. I just think that the reason people don't really like it is because they always compare it to zombies instead of Infinity Ward's previous work. So if you compare it to like Survival and Spec Ops, it's way better than those two. And I think that's the most important thing, is that they need to compare Infinity Ward games to Infinity Ward games and not Infinity Ward to Treyarch and, you know, Sledgehammer and whatnot. So I didn't think Ghost was that bad. I had a pretty good time playing it. I have like a 2.5 KD. It's one of my highest KDs in any Call of Duty game. And it was just, I had a lot of fun going through with the party. You know, we'd just go in and we'd joke around a lot. But it was still, like, there was a lot of things wrong with it. And yeah, so that's why Call of Duty Ghosts is at number 3. Coming in at number 2 is Black Ops 3. So you might be really surprised by this. You're like, man, how is Black Ops 3 worse than Ghosts? And this is, once again, this is all like just my personal preference. This isn't like some official, like, oh, Call of Duty Black Ops 3 is way worse than Call of Duty Ghosts, and Ghosts is a better game and anything like that. Like, I've played Black Ops 3 a ton this past year, but I don't think it's that great of a game. So I think Ghosts is probably better because I think that the campaign was a whole lot better. Multiplayer was kind of so-so, but at least I played that a lot. And lastly, Extinction was something new, it was something fresh, and it was innovative, and it was just fun to play. Whereas in Black Ops 3, the campaign had almost nothing to do with Black Ops 1 or 2. It only had a few like little references here and there to those two games, and it was just overall like super confusing, and a lot of times just didn't make sense in anything. Like, I still don't understand fully what the whole story is and, you know, what the ending is about. Like, my two biggest gripes about Black Ops 3 is that zombies sucks. It is nowhere near as good as Black Ops 2. And the second one is that multiplayer is just a dread to play. Like, Black Ops 2, I had a blast playing that. You know, I would look forward to playing that every single day. But in Black Ops 3, it was just like, oh man, you know, I kind of want to play some Black Ops 3, but I'm like, I know I'm going to be getting shot around corners. I'm going to light people up and they're not going to die. And I'm just going to get killed by some BS specialist or something, or I'm going to be thrown into a domination match halfway through and we're just going to be getting destroyed by wraiths and raps and hardened sentries and all kinds of stuff like that. And multiplayer was just like kind of you know? I mean, Treyarch didn't really do anything extremely wrong with this, but I felt like the maps, there was no map that really stuck out where it was like, this map is really awesome. I think Infection is probably one of the best maps in this game. But even still, like, it doesn't have those super, you know, memorable maps that are really great. Like Black Ops 2, almost every single map was like that, where you're like, oh man, I love this map. And you'd be okay with playing on pretty much every map in Black Ops 2, except for maybe like Aftermath and Turbine or something like that. But in Black Ops 3, a lot of the maps I'm just like, oh, please no. And then Zombies, it is nowhere near as good as Black Ops 2, or even Black Ops 1 for that matter. Like, the storyline is completely out of whack and just really doesn't make sense to me. And the Easter eggs are all essentially the exact same cookie cutter formula. You know, you have to get whatever the wonder weapon is on that map, you have to upgrade it several times, you have to go around the map, you know, doing all these little things, hitting all these audio cues. You have to go over here and you gotta collect a bunch of zombie souls from this thing, and then you gotta go over here and collect souls from this thing, and then you have a boss fight in the end against something, and then you kill the boss, and then boom, Easter egg's done, you complete the achievement. Instead of like something like Call of the Dead, where you have to find things around the map and you have to listen to all the characters and stuff. And even Moon, you know, like all those Easter eggs were like super unique and stuff. And even in Black Ops 2, like the Mob of the Dead Easter egg was really cool. But in Black Ops 3, for some reason, all the Easter eggs are almost exactly the same. We always have pretty much like a boss fight in them, and we're always collecting souls for this and that and stuff. And it's just like, come on, like once you've done one, you've done them all. And it's just such a pain to do, and it's like a lot of them you can't even do solo, and it's just such a pain in the butt to do. And the maps aren't really good at all. Like, I think my favorite map in Black Ops 3 is the Giant, maybe followed by Dreisendrach, but the Giant is just Derice remastered, and so it doesn't even really count because it's not even a map technically from this game. It's from World at War, and Shadows of Evil is just like extremely complicated and hard to get into, and like there's a giant squid in the sky for some reason. There's some dude with a beard just like floating there, and if you shoot him, you skip rounds and stuff. Like, it's in order to open up the Pack-a-Punch, you have to go through this whole process, and like once you've opened up the Pack-a-Punch, you're like, well, okay, I'm done with the map. Whereas like Origins and Mob of the Dead, once you get in the Pack-a-Punch, you're like, okay, I'm just getting started, you know? And you can still do tons of things from there. But in Shadows of Evil, it's like, oh, I've opened up the Pack-a-Punch? Well, it's round 20 now, so what else can I do? You're like, oh, I've got the Apothecant Servant. Guess I'll just try and survive now. And it's just kind of tedious and boring to play that map. But Zombies in Black Ops 3 is just like, it sucks. It's not very memorable, and it's not very fun to like go back and play. And none of the maps are extremely easy except for, I guess, the Giant. But in Black Ops 2, we had Buried, which was like the easiest Zombies map ever. We had Mob of the Dead, which was amazing. That was huge. And then we had Origins, which was an amazing finale and an amazing end to the zombie storyline at the time. And then in Black Ops 3, we got Revelations, which is, you know, it's a compilation of like a lot of the other Zombies maps, but for some reason it has Horizon in it. Like, that's already in the game. Why does that need to be in Revelations? That just doesn't make sense. They took like the most obscure parts of each of the maps and put them in, and like the Origins one is just kind of like, okay. The Mob of the Dead one, like, it barely of it even like resembles Mob of the Dead, and Kino is just that theater room. Like, I think if they took like a majority, at least like 75% of those maps and put them into Revelations instead of like 15% or whatever they currently have, it would have been so much better. But the map is just kind of like, oh, once you get past it, oh, these are the maps I played before. There's nothing new about these. And you're like, oh, well, this is kind of boring. So Black Ops 3, I don't think is a very fun game to play, and this whole year I never really had fun. Like, even when I played, you know, in a party with other people, we were always just like, it just seems like such a serious game, and it's hard to have fun and to joke around and stuff when you're just getting absolutely slaughtered in multiplayer, and Zombies is freaking ridiculously hard, and the Easter eggs are extremely tedious and just complicated and stupid. And yeah, so that's why I don't like Black Ops 3. But the worst Call of Duty game of all time is Advanced Warfare. Advanced Warfare had so many problems on launch. Like, when that game first came out, it was super buggy, and there was just so many issues and stuff going into it. And it honestly should have been way better because it was the first Call of Duty game with a 3-year development cycle, and so they've had 3 years to build this game and to perfect it and sort out all these bugs. But on launch, it was just like, it was Bug City. And I had the privilege to play the game on the Xbox 360 when the game came out, and it did not look that great on the Xbox 360. Like, last gen didn't look that great, and that's something I gotta give props to Ghost for, is that Ghost on the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 looks really good. And you know, compared to the Xbox One and PS4, those versions were obviously better, but there wasn't a huge difference, you know, in quality between those two, which is something I also kind of got to give to Advanced Warfare, is that there was a pretty huge graphical difference between the Xbox One version, say the Xbox 360 or the PS3 and the PS4, is that the game just looks like extremely different. And that was one of my favorite things to do with this game, is when I finally got an Xbox One, was to walk around all the maps and be like, oh, that's different. You know, that chair isn't there on the 360, but it is here on the One, or something like that. And just look at all the, you know, differences between them. And that was just kind of interesting. It wasn't, and I was able to prestige so fast in that game. Like, in the first week, I prestiged like 4 times. Like, once again, like halfway through November or so, I was like kind of bored of the game, so I went back to Black Ops 2 a little bit, played it a little bit on there, and I even played a little bit of Ghosts. But over Thanksgiving break, I was just like, okay, I gotta really, you know, buckle down. I really want to get this game Master Prestige before the year is up, so before 2014 ended. And so all of Thanksgiving break, I just played and played and played and played and played Advanced Warfare. There were so many overpowered weapons in that game, it wasn't even funny. Like, the Bal 27 was ridiculous on launch, and then they finally nerfed that a little bit, but the Obsidian Steed was like ridiculously overpowered then, and then the EM1 was essentially useless on launch, and so they ended up buffing it way too much, and so it was amazing on console, and it was like insane on PC. It was ridiculous how good it was on PC because it was tied to your frame rate, and so you're able to melt people in like a fraction of a second with it. But even on console, you were just able to zap people. But I ended up getting to Master Prestige in Advanced Warfare on Christmas, so I got to technically like 16th Prestige by then. So within 2 months, I had done 16 Prestiges, and by then I was just like, oh, I was done with the game, basically. So the way that game goes, whenever I played it, was that I would hop into a lobby, I would select the Bal 27 with like a foregrip and a quick draw, and I would have toughness and blast suppressor, and I'd have lightweight and low profile on, and I would have a support UAV and a sentry gun with support and the sentry module, and that's what I would use every single game. And I'd play hardpoint, and I would just, loop my streaks because I had support on them, and I'd also be able to Shrek people, in like 2 shots because I had the Bal 27 Obsidian Steed, and it was honestly ridiculous. Like, that's what I would have to do every single game. But one of the worst things about that game is the skill-based matchmaking. So I had like a 1.5 KD, 1.7 around there, and I was getting matched up against so many sweaty kids. Like, it wasn't even that bad that I was being matched up against, tryhards. It was that my team was terrible. It's that the game was like, oh, hey, this guy is a really good player, and here's 5 other like potatoes that have no clue how to play the game. Let's take this really good player and these 5 potatoes, and let's put them on a team and put them up against a team of 6 mediocre players, and it should balance out in the long run and stuff. And even if they weren't that great of enemies, they were still able to beat me a lot of the time just because there's so many of them and because my team is so awful. And it was a pain in the butt to play, having to carry your team almost every single game. And I even have a screenshot saved of me playing on Christmas Day as a Master Prestige, and I have a picture of my team versus the enemy team. I did not have like a single person on my team, except for myself, that was over Prestige 1. There was not a single player. Whereas the enemy team had almost everybody over Prestige 1. There was people like 7th, 8th Prestige, 12th Prestige, 5th Prestige, all over the place. But my team was just a ton of Christmas noobs. And people that just barely got the game and that weren't good at all. And like the top guy was like a level 30 or something. And it was honestly ridiculous, like having to carry people so much in that game. And I got burned out so fast. Around March or so, they added in another 15 Prestiges. And so that was just kind of a pain in the butt for me. And I was just like, are you kidding me? I've already gotten to a Master Prestige. You're going to make me do another 15? Like, I grinded my butt off in November and December to get everything for that game and to get to a Master Prestige. And here they are, they're going to try and add in another 15? And I was just like, come on. But I was not having a good time with that game. Like, I always had to carry people. I always had to go like super try hard and I always have to try my best in order to win. And it was just exhausting. Like after you play it for like more than like an hour a day, you're just like, oh, you're like, I can't do this anymore. I cannot physically like carry my team every single game. And that's just kind of the way it was. And I was just like, I don't want to play this game anymore, really. And so I stopped playing the game. And I played other games, and I just played way more games that year than I did even played Call of Duty that year. And towards the end of the year, towards like the fall season before Black Ops 3 came out, I was like, okay, I want to try and get to Grandmaster Prestige before Black Ops 3 came out. So in like September and October, I grinded that game out, but I still couldn't do it, and I'm still not there yet. I don't like that game. It's not terrible, I don't hate it, but it's my least favorite Call of Duty game. So there you guys go. Thanks for watching. Tell me what your top 5 worst Call of Duty games are in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next video.